Welcome back to Movie Review Mom. If you're brand new here, a special welcome to you. And I hope you like what you see, and I hope you stay. And I hope you subscribe. My goal here is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision for yourself as to whether or not you want to spend your time and your money or both watching a specific film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is The Little Things. This movie is now available on HBO Max. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes. And the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B minus, and I will explain why. I'll give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even movie recommendations for other films that I think you'll enjoy better. So, to get started, in a nutshell, this dramatic crime thriller was both written and directed by John Lee Hancock and stars 3 Academy Award winners: Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. Wow, what a powerhouse cast. I adore all of those actors. So, because of that, Warner Brothers has been pushing for awards for this movie. And while the cast is incredible, the script and the direction fail them as actors, I think. The result is a detective movie that is more underwhelming than it ever should have been. So, here are the things that I liked about the movie. First of all, I adore the cast. I love Denzel Washington. I mean, who doesn't, right? He actually earned over $20 million up front for this movie. And good on him. I mean, he's an excellent actor. He does a great job. I really had no faults with him at all. The next is Jared Leto, and he is such a versatile performer in movies, as well as, did you know he was the lead vocalist in the band 30 Seconds to Mars? I mean, what a talented guy, right? His character was the most entertaining one by far, super creepy and funny. And once he appears on the screen, you finally get that fun cat and mouse feeling that you always want in a crime drama. He was just excellent. However, my only complaint with him was what was up with the fake nose. It was super distracting. And then finally, I adore Rami Malek, but I found that it was hard to really identify with his character. His performance was great, but I think the script didn't allow the audience to really understand him, like him, care about him until the very end. You're just kind of like, oh, bummer. I mean, so really it was not because of his performance, because he's great always, but again it was the script and the directing that I think failed him. There is, however, a nice musical soundtrack as well as a musical score by Thomas Newman. And there's a twist. You expect that in crime dramas, right? And I love twists. So while watching, you know that there's going to be more to the story. There's more than meets the eye in a crime detective drama. And that propels you to keep watching. However, in Act 3, you're just kind of like, really? That was it? So the movie is really more of a character study than a movie that really cares about the plot. It provides great psychological tension and gives you insight into police detective work than it is in really developing a plot that makes a lot of sense. There is an intriguing opening scene, and actually, Act 1 was pretty good. It drew me in pretty quickly. But now let me go into the things that I didn't like. Act 1 was good. Act 2 was kind of a bore. Like, where are we going with all of this? And then Act 3 was kind of a disaster. So, John Lee Hancock actually wrote this script, he says, about 30 years ago. And it kind of felt like it needed a little bit more time, honestly. Despite the many murders in Act One, the movie is a slow burn. And of course, the slowness is part of the point of the story itself. Detective work mostly consists of waiting and driving and wondering and thinking. And you definitely feel that from this movie. The storyline is a little bit confusing and just kind of messy. Each scene tends to bring more questions, and quite a few of them never get answered in the movie, which for me as a viewer is just frustrating. I want things to be resolved. Now, let me take that back. I do appreciate movies that have an ambiguous ending that's open to interpretation, and that can be done very, very well. But in this movie, not so much. Some viewers are saying that the ending is just unsatisfying. So if you've seen this movie, I would love to hear your comments. Comment down below. The movie is just too long, and it felt like it. Some movies, even though they have over a 2-hour runtime, move quickly and you're engaged the entire time. But I found myself kind of looking at my watch. I don't wear watches, looking at the time on my computer as I watch this to find out, how much more do we have to go till we get to the end? That's not a good sign, right? Some of the scenes easily could have been shaved off. So as a detective movie, it doesn't really offer enough thrills and twists to stand up to other psychological thrillers that do it so much better, like the movie Seven. And I kind of felt like this movie was trying to be like Seven, but it wasn't. It wasn't nearly as good. The time period of this movie also is super vague, and people were driving different aged cars and even carrying cell phones and pagers. And so I was like, okay, wait, where are we here? When are we here? So for those reasons, I felt like the little things are the things that really dragged this movie down, ironically. Now, let me give you some tips for parents. The movie is rated R, and I definitely don't recommend it for kids because you see several dead, full-on naked bodies that are just bloodied and gory of women. So you don't want those images in your kids' minds, and you probably don't want them in your mind as well. There's a lot of profanity and F-bombs. And honestly, kids are going to be really bored, and so will some adults. Some of that blood and gore and guts and the graphicness of it just didn't make the movie better at all. There are, however, some interesting themes that are worth talking about. One is confronting your past. Denzel Washington plays a character who's involved in this new case that sort of drudges up old issues from the past. And so it's interesting to watch him try to deal with that. And of course, there's a message that everyone's imperfect. Other themes are taking pride in your job and the work that you do, justice, trusting your gut. And another question that it also asks is, how far would you go to catch a criminal? Are you willing to sacrifice your personal life for your work life and that kind of stuff? Anyway, I thought that those themes were really good. Now, I always write down interesting lines and funny lines, and I include them in my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can run over there and check those out. But I'll share a couple of them with you right now. First of all, Rami Malek is this polished detective, and Denzel Washington comes in from another county. He's kind of been demoted. He's not the top of his game at all. And they end up working together. And so Rami Malek's character tells him, a lot of things have changed since you left. And Denzel Washington's character says, still got to catch him, right? Things haven't changed that much. And I thought that that was an interesting introduction to their personalities, because that conversation takes place early on in the movie. And then Denzel Washington's character says, it's the little things that are important, Jimmy. It's the little things that'll get you caught. And again, it was the little things in this movie that just didn't add up to this great movie that it could have been and should have been. Okay, and finally, before I go, I want to leave you with some recommendations. And instead of other crime drama movies, I want to recommend some other movies by director John Lee Hancock. Some critics are saying that this movie is now tarnishing his record. He has created some wonderful movies in the past, and I just wanted to remind you of them in case this one leaves a bad taste in your mouth. One movie is called The Founder, and I had very mixed feelings, not about the direction of the movie, because I thought it was actually really good, but just kind of how the story was presented. It was very controversial and very clever, and so I liked it because of that. Another movie that I just adored is Saving Mr. Banks. True story about Walt Disney. And I just thought that that was so charming. And then a classic movie that everybody loves, I think, is The Blind Side. So those are all directed by John Lee Hancock that I thought were very, very good. All right. If you've seen this movie, I would love to hear your comments. And I also appreciate your subscribing to my channel, liking it, and you can even ring that little bell and it'll notify you every time I upload new movie reviews and trailer reactions. I hope you enjoyed this movie if you watch it. I know some people absolutely loved it. Thank you also for those of you who are going over to Patreon to check out how you can support me there. All right, I will catch you in the next movie review. Bye for now.